Preparing for the new normal. Last week, I read an article in French entitled, "Which profession would be the most needed after the COVID-19?" I was eager to discover the answer. Would it be teachers, engineers, medical doctors, accountants? It seems that in the new normal that is emerging, there will be a high demand for one type of professionals, the psychiatrists. The prolonged isolation, the disruption of established habits, the enduring fears about life issues and new realities are triggering anxiety in people outside the church and in people inside the church. No one is immune from anxiety. However, the risk and intensity can be minimized or even nullified. And this is the message I would like to share with us this morning: coping with the new normal. I invite you to read with me in Philippians chapter 4, verse 6, these very words of Paul. "Do not be anxious about anything." Paul is addressing the issue of anxiety. "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." According to this passage, well known to every one of us, Paul is inviting us to go to God, and he is pointing two sets of remedies to the prevailing anxiety. On one hand, Paul is saying prayer and petition. On the other hand, he mentioned thanksgiving. Friends, colleagues, spiritual leaders, in recent human history, we have not seen a time like this one, when so many people are praying earnestly to God. We can still question the motives. Like in my very own country, some people are praying for beer shops to reopen. But the fact remains that more people are now turning to God. Prayer and petition alleviate anxiety and help people to cope with changes. This is exactly what Paul is saying to the people in Philippi. In this time of confinement, in this time of isolation, the question that we need to ask, very pertinent one: are we cultivating intimacy with God? It will determine how strong and resilient we'll be to cope with the new normal that is emerging. Prayer and petition. When it comes to offering thanksgiving, the other essential antidote to anxiety, the reality may be slightly different. Let me explain what I mean by that. 2 days ago, I received a call from a union executive secretary telling me that his brother, who works on a cruise ship, is sick and they have not heard from him for 5 days. In his last message, he told them that he was too weak to write or to call them. In such a context, being thankful can be a challenge. The virus is contaminating more people. Yesterday, we hit 400,000 cases in the US with a death toll that is slightly lower than 2,000 people. Unemployment is at its highest rate. Reduction of income is suspending over our heads. Not the easiest time to be thankful. But let us remember these words from Paul again. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, I believe we are already doing that already. If we are not there, it is the time to pray and to present our petition to God. But then the text says, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. Offering thanksgiving, though not the easiest thing to do in such a time, it is God's plan for me to overcome anxiety. Thanksgiving, what is it all about? It is to see and acknowledge that God is active and intervening in this current reality. Colleagues, I do realize that some people, that some church members may need to be assisted in such a time to be thankful. Just allow me to illustrate my thought to you this morning. There is air all around, but some people cannot breathe by themselves. They need to be assisted through ventilators. In the same way, though God is present, though God is intervening, some people may need help, your help, my help, to count God's blessings, especially when they are going through hardship. The question is, who will help them? Who will assist them to count God's blessings during such a time? Some may think that now is not the time for us stewardship directors to be active. Are we not insensitive to God, to people's need when we talk about giving and partnering with God during such a time? Friends, colleagues, it is important for us to realize that our mission is not to be fundraisers, but to invite people to be thankful. And this is pertinent, this is relevant for today. Cultivating a spirit of thankfulness is one of the greatest needs of our unpredictable and unsecure generation. Thankfulness, a spirit of thankfulness turns gloomy days into happy days. Last year, in one issue of the Dynamic Steward, the stewardship director from Quebec Conference wrote these words: "A merry heart is for those who counts his blessings." A merry heart is for those who count his blessings. Where the spirit of thankfulness is present, there is happiness. And this will fight against anxiety. Friends, each time you have to encourage God's church to be thankful, remember the words of Solomon in Proverbs 17, verse 22. A happy heart is good medicine, and a joyful mind causes healing. but a broken spirit dries up the bones. We are. We are the ventilators to assist people not to breathe, but to count God's blessings and to overcome anxiety. Your ministry, my ministry is much needed. Let us at this time, as we conclude this message, let us make a decision to intensify our prayer life and to grow in thankfulness to God. And remember this, we are God's chosen instruments to influence God's people to embrace thankfulness. We are God's chosen instruments to help God's people to embrace thankfulness. How to cope with the new normal? Let us reflect a last time on these words from Paul. Do not be anxious. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. May this be a reality in our life and in the lives of our members. Amen.